They told me the gala was in my honor. But honor wasn't anywhere in that building. While the crowd sipped champagne under warm lights, they slipped me behind the stage into a dusty corridor used for storing broken chairs and discarded props. No chair for me, no microphone, just the smell of old wood and the sound of applause meant for someone else. I had spent a month writing my speech, a month believing they cared. Then I heard the new director laugh softly and whisper, "Leave her there. Old women don't need audiences. They're lucky if someone remembers their name." My hands shook around the pages I had poured my heart into. They thought they'd hidden me away. They thought I'd accept it. They thought it'd fade out quietly. They were wrong. This is her quiet comeback. If this kind of story speaks to you, feel free to subscribe and tell me where you're listening from. Now, let's begin. I didn't leave that dark corridor right away. For several minutes, I just sat there. Not because I accepted it, but because I couldn't make my legs move. My retirement gala, the one they described as a tribute to 4 decades of service, was happening 10 feet away. 10 feet, separated only by a thin wall and a lifetime of being taught to be gracious, be patient, be understanding, even when it hurt. I could hear the clinking glasses, the cheerful music, the admiring speeches about the bright new direction of the library, a direction that apparently did not include me. The corridor they left me in was cold, the kind of cold that sinks into your joints and stays there. It smelled like dust and forgotten things, old props from children's plays, folding chairs with missing screws, bins of tangled holiday lights that no one bothered untangling. Maybe that was the point. Put her where we keep the things no one wants anymore. I held my speech on my lap, the one I'd spent a month writing. The top page was a little wrinkled now, from gripping it too hard. My handwriting looked suddenly foreign to me, too hopeful, too trusting. I had written that speech for the women in the room, for the young mothers I'd watched grow up, for the quiet teenagers who hid in the aisles until I brought them a book they didn't know they needed, for the elderly widows who came to the library just for a warm place to sit. I wanted to tell them, you matter. Your story matters. Your years haven't made you smaller. They've made you deeper. But the message never reached them. Instead, I heard Ariana's voice drifting down the hallway, sharp enough to cut through the dim light. "She's fine. Leave her. Older staff get overwhelmed. We don't need her wandering around confusing donors." Confusing donors. As if I were a misplaced sign, an outdated brochure, a piece of clutter. Then came the sentence that hit me like a stone to the chest. Honestly, she's irrelevant now. We're stepping into the future, and she belongs in the past. Irrelevant. I had heard that word before, whispered in hospital rooms by women older than me, women afraid of becoming burdens, afraid of being in the way, afraid of disappearing before they actually died. But I never thought I'd hear it about myself, not from someone I mentored, someone I opened doors for, someone who stood on the foundation I helped build. A wave of humiliation washed over me, hot, then cold, then hollow. For a moment, I wished I had never come, never dressed up, never believed them. But the shame was quickly pushed aside by something else, something harder, sharper, and far more dangerous. Anger, not the loud kind, not the explosive kind, the quiet kind, the kind that settles into your bones and says, "No, not like this." I slowly stood up. My knees cracked in protest, but they held. 41 years of service. 41 years helping strangers find their voice. And here I was, letting someone half my age decide I shouldn't use mine. I folded my speech carefully, smoothing the creases with shaking fingers, and placed it back into the leather folder I'd carried since my first year at the library. The applause on the other side of the wall grew louder. They were cheering for Ariana, cheering for the woman who had stolen my night. I walked toward the exit quietly, my heels clicking softly on the concrete floor. Their own kind of applause. The only applause I would get that night. A few people in the lobby looked confused, seeing me leave so early. But no one stopped me. No one asked what was wrong. No one noticed anything at all. Outside, the night air was cold enough to bite. I wrapped my thin shawl around my shoulders and stood there alone, watching the golden lights of the gala shimmer through the windows. I could have gone home right then, cried, broken down, accepted what they had done. But something inside me refused. For the first time in years, I felt a fire that didn't care about being polite, or quiet, or gentle. They had pushed me behind the stage, but they had no idea who they were pushing. I walked down the steps slowly, each one steady, each one deliberate. What they did wasn't a mistake, it was a message. And now, I was going to send one back. Not with shouting, not with revenge, but with something far more powerful. A woman in her late 60s finally deciding she would no longer disappear for anyone. I didn't sleep that night. Not because of the humiliation, that part I could eventually swallow, even if it scraped my throat like broken glass. What kept me awake was the feeling that something didn't add up. I had dedicated my life to that library. I wasn't perfect, but I was steady, dependable, the kind of woman people trusted with their secrets, their children, their elderly parents. Ariana knew that, and still, she had gone out of her way to hide me. Why? Why push me into the shadows with such precision? Why erase me so intentionally? I sat at my kitchen table long after midnight, the house silent, except for the hum of the old refrigerator. My speech lay in front of me, the pages slightly bent from my grip in the corridor. I smoothed them out again, the way you smooth a wrinkled memory, trying to understand how something that once felt meaningful now looked like a relic from a life that didn't belong to me anymore. Just as I folded the papers back into the leather folder, my phone buzzed. A message. From an unknown number. Miss Whitmore, it's Jacob. Can we talk? Jacob. I hadn't heard that name in years. He was one of my shy students, the kind who hid in the nonfiction aisle to avoid crowds, who checked out books faster than I could shelve them. Now, he was a journalist, and he wanted to talk at 1 a.m. That alone told me something wasn't right. I wrote back, "Come by in the morning." But he replied immediately, "It can't wait." A cold feeling ran down my spine. Not fear, intuition. The same intuition that had kept me safe my entire life. I unlocked the door and waited. 15 minutes later, Jacob stepped inside, older now, taller, confidence replacing the timid boy I remembered. But his eyes, they still carried that familiar tremor when something mattered. He didn't waste time. "Miss Whitmore, someone's trying to pin something on you." There it was. The thing I couldn't put into words earlier. The shape of a truth I didn't want to face. I sat down slowly. "Tell me." Jacob placed a thin folder on my table. It looked almost harmless, like homework I'd forgotten to grade. Inside were photocopies, documents, financial reports, signatures. My signature. "I work part-time with the city auditor," he said. "I wasn't supposed to see these. But when I did, I knew something was wrong." Wrong didn't begin to cover it. The papers showed purchases I never approved, bulks of overpriced books, contractors I'd never met, renovation fees for rooms that didn't exist. And every form had a signature that looked almost like mine. Same loops, same slant, but not mine. "Why would someone do this?" I whispered. Jacob swallowed hard. "Because the board plans to review the library's financial integrity next month. And if these fake documents hold, it'll look like you mishandled funds, enough to revoke your pension." My heart thudded so loudly I could hear it in my ears. My pension, my only safety, my one steady thing in life. Gone if someone got away with this. "And you think it's Ariana?" I said quietly. "I don't think," Jacob replied. "I know. I've seen her meeting the vendors listed here, and she's been pushing the narrative that you were forgetful in your final months." Forgetful. The insult made my blood turn hot. I remembered overhearing her at the gala, the venom in her soft laugh. "She's old. She won't notice." Oh, but I had noticed, and now everything made sense. Jacob leaned forward. "Miss Whitmore, she's using your reputation as cover. Because no one questions the kind old librarian. They'll just think you slipped. Slipped, like a loose rug, like a cracked tile, like a woman whose existence no longer carried weight." I shook my head slowly. "This isn't about the gala," I murmured. "It was never about humiliating me." Jacob nodded. "It was about removing you, removing me. From the library, from the board's trust, from the pension system, from the community. That cold corridor behind the stage wasn't punishment. It was step one. I exhaled shakily. Jacob, why did you come to me? He looked down for a moment, his voice unsteady when he spoke again. Because when I was 12, you were the first adult who listened to me. You saw me when I felt invisible. You told me my voice mattered. He met my eyes, and I can't watch them take yours. Something in my chest cracked open, not broken, but awakened. I had spent my whole life teaching others to read, to think, to stand tall. Now, I needed to learn to stand tall for myself. I closed the folder, my decision forming with the quiet force of a rising tide. Jacob, I said softly, we're going to find everything they're hiding. Outside, the sky was beginning to lighten, a faint line of blue on the horizon. A new day, not gentle, not soft, but necessary. The first day of my comeback. The next morning, I walked into the library with a quiet, dangerous clarity, the kind a woman gains only when she's been pushed past the edge of her dignity. Nothing felt the same. Not the carpet that had muffled my footsteps for 32 years. Not the front desk where children once lined up with picture books. Not even the sunlight on the stained glass windows. Everything looked familiar, yet foreign, as if the place I had given half my life to was no longer mine. Ariana was already there, of course. Her heels clicked across the floor like punctuation marks in a speech she'd rehearsed. She didn't expect me this early. She didn't expect me at all. Oh, she said, blinking. Clara, I thought you'd take some days off. I smiled the same polite, unreadable smile older women have perfected over centuries of being underestimated. Why would I do that? Her jaw tightened just enough for me to notice. I kept walking. She kept watching, but what she didn't know was that Jacob had given me something priceless the night before. The knowledge that I wasn't imagining anything, that the humiliation wasn't an isolated cruelty, that the danger was real. As I crossed the main hall, I caught the staff whispering. Heads turned, eyes slipped away. They knew something. Or at least, they'd heard the version Ariana fed them. The narrative of the forgetful old librarian. The one struggling to keep up. The one who needed rest. Ariana had built her story well. And she wasn't finished. Because when I walked into my office, the office I had designed, decorated, and cleaned for decades, my desk was gone. Not moved, not shifted, gone. In its place was a folding table, thin, wobbly, cheap. On top lay a single drawer organizer labeled temporary. I stared at it, my breath catching painfully in my throat. So this was how she did it. Not with shouting, not with orders, with quiet demotions, silent erasures. One piece at a time. Ariana appeared in the doorway, pretending to look apologetic. Oh, Clara, I meant to tell you. We converted your office for the new outreach coordinator. You can use this workstation for now. Workstation. A folding table. Like I was a volunteer who came twice a month for book sales. I kept my voice steady. What happened to my desk? Ariana lifted a shoulder. Donated. You always said the youth programs needed funds. I hadn't said anything of the sort. Not once. But she never lied loudly. She lied softly with a tone that suggested you must have forgotten your own truth. I stepped closer, meeting her eyes. You're making a mistake, I said calmly. She smiled the way young women sometimes smile when they believe age equals weakness. No, Clara. I'm making progress. Her words sliced cleanly between my ribs. I opened my mouth to speak, but then I heard it. From behind her, from the group of interns sorting books. A whisper. A barely there laugh. Why is she even back? She's too old for this. She slows everything down. And then the one that wasn't whispered at all. Maingui jia, chingoi choko, chukon lamduki, said by a girl younger than the vintage books she was shelving. They thought I didn't hear. They thought my age made me deaf, dull, invisible. But I heard every word. My hands trembled. Not because of them, but because, for the first time in my life, I felt something I had never felt in all my years at the library. Rage, not loud, not wild, quiet, pure, focused. The kind of rage that comes from realizing you've been loyal to a place long after it stopped being loyal to you. I left without saying another word. Outside, the wind was sharp, cutting across my skin like truth. I sat in my car, the folder Jacob gave me on the passenger seat, the forged signatures inside glowing like sparks waiting for a fire. They had tried to tuck me away behind a stage, strip my dignity, erase my legacy, bury my voice in a storage corridor. But they forgot something. Older women don't break quietly. We break open. And when we rise with every year of strength they underestimated. I started the engine. It was time to look for evidence, time to pull threads, time to unravel every lie Ariana had woven, time for my comeback to begin. I didn't drive home. My hands were trembling too much for that. Instead, I parked behind the old municipal garden, the place where I used to take my daughter on spring afternoons, back when she still believed I hung the moon just for her. Now, she barely called. The wind whipped through the leaves, cold and uncaring, but I needed that cold. It kept me awake, sharp, dangerous. The folder Jacob gave me sat on my lap. His words from the night before echoed in my head. Clara, they're setting you up. The signatures weren't yours. And Ariana's report is full of holes. I opened the file. The first page stared back at me, a memo Ariana had submitted to the board, claiming I was no longer competent with digital systems. I blinked. I had trained her on the digital system. Next page. A performance concerns log with my name typed neatly at the top. Half the incidents didn't exist. The dates didn't match. One entry said, I misplaced rare books during a youth workshop, except I didn't host the youth workshop anymore. Ariana had reassigned it to herself 2 months earlier. The more I read, the angrier I became. Not furious, not fiery, coldly, precisely angry. Because I realized something. This wasn't spontaneous cruelty. This wasn't a one-night humiliation at an awards ceremony. This was a campaign, a planned, deliberate erasure. Slow enough to look like organizational transition. Quiet enough that no one would question it. They wanted me to fade out so Ariana could fade in. And the worst part, this wasn't just about the job. It was about reputation, legacy, worth. She was shaping a narrative that would outlive me. I couldn't let that happen. Not after 32 years. Not after the sacrifices. Not after the hundreds of lives I had touched. I closed the folder and took out my phone. There was only one person who would understand both the administrative rot and the emotional weight. Rita, my best friend. Retired school principal. Sharp as vinegar. She answered on the first ring. Clara? What's wrong? Your voice sounds like someone lit a match under you. I breathed out shakily. Something's happening at the library. Something big. She didn't interrupt. She never did when it mattered. So I told her everything, the award ceremony, humiliation, the folding table desk, the forged documents, the interns whispering like vultures. Rita swore so loudly I had to hold the phone away. That child, Ariana, doesn't know who she's messing with. You built that place. You carried it on your back. I know, I whispered. But the board only listens to reports. And right now, the only reports they have are hers. Rita inhaled sharply. So we change that. We? Of course we. You're not fighting this alone. I've toppled 3 superintendents in my career. A baby tyrant like her doesn't scare me. I felt my eyes sting. Older women cry easily, not from weakness, but from holding in too much for too long. Rita continued. Here is what you're going to do. Tomorrow, you go in like everything's normal. Smile at Ariana. Let her think she's winning. Meanwhile, gather copies of every suspicious document, every memo, every schedule change, every staff complaint you never saw. I swallowed. And then? Then we show the board exactly who she is. But first, we gather proof. Without proof, they'll say you're emotional. With proof, they'll say she's finished. Her confidence steadied me like a warm hand on my back. Rita, thank you. Don't thank me yet. Thank me when that girl is clearing out the office she stole from you. I couldn't help laughing. A real laugh. The kind I hadn't felt since before the award ceremony turned into my public burial. As the call ended, I looked at my reflection in the car window. I didn't see a humiliated old woman. I saw a strategist, a survivor, A librarian who had built an entire world from paper and ink and could dismantle one just as easily. Tomorrow, I would return to the library, not as the old lady who should step aside, not as the temporary staff member they thought they could fold away, but as the woman who knew exactly how to look harmless while planning her quiet, devastating retaliation. And the first step of my comeback? A single, simple truth. If they were going to bury me in silence, they should have checked whether I knew how to dig. The next morning I dressed with a precision I hadn't felt in months, a soft navy blouse, pressed slacks, hair pinned neatly the same way I used to prepare for big community events at the library. But this was bigger. This wasn't just a work day, it was the beginning of my quiet war. I walked through the library doors at 8:58 a.m., 2 minutes early. Ariana liked to joke that older staff needed extra time to warm up, so I made sure I arrived before she did. The interns looked up at me, surprised. I didn't smile. I didn't greet them. I walked straight to my tiny folding table, the place she had relegated me to like a forgotten donation box, and then I waited. At 9:07, Ariana swept in, perfect hair, sharp heels, confidence dripping from her like perfume. "Oh," she said brightly. "You're early today, Clara. Everything all right?" I gave her my warmest grandmotherly smile, the kind that says, "I forgive you," not "I'm planning your ruin." "Just eager to start the day," I replied. Her eyes narrowed, very slightly. Ariana wasn't stupid. She knew cheerfulness from me was rarely good news. She walked past, tapping her iPad. "Good. I'll need you to reorganize the third-floor archive today. We're shifting priorities." Translation: I'm sending you somewhere isolated where you can't overhear anything useful. Perfect. I went upstairs, pretending to obey. But the moment I stepped into the empty archive room, I locked the door behind me and pulled out the small notebook tucked into my purse. I began writing down everything: dates, names, suspicious comments, odd schedule shifts, moments her interns behaved strangely around me. Then I combed through the old filing cabinets, the ones Ariana believed no one bothered with anymore. She was wrong. Entire departments ran on old paper trails. I found documents she never expected anyone to see. A request she submitted for administrative restructuring, cutting my hours by 40%, dated before the board had supposedly recommended it. A draft speech for the award ceremony, where the lines acknowledging my contributions had been deleted. A donor correspondence letter, where she signed her name above mine, as if she were already head librarian. And finally, a sealed complaint about a missing rare manuscript, filed the week Ariana had been left alone to handle acquisitions. The same manuscript she blamed me for misplacing. My hands shook as I photographed everything with my phone. Each page was another thread in the web she thought she controlled. But webs can trap spiders too. Just as I closed the final drawer, I heard footsteps in the hall. Ariana. I quickly tucked the documents back in and pretended to be sorting. She opened the door without knocking, her smile stretched tight like plastic wrap. "There you are," she said. "I was wondering why you locked the door. Everything okay?" "Just dusty," I lied, brushing my hands. Her eyes scanned the room. For a moment, I thought she saw the truth: the open drawers, the rearranged folders, the faint trace of panic in her smile. But no, Ariana didn't fear me. Not yet. "Remember," she said sweetly, "if any of these files feel too complicated for you, I can always have an intern help." I nodded gently. "Thank you, dear." She left feeling triumphant. That was her biggest mistake. That evening, I met Rita at her dining table, a battlefield of sticky notes, highlighters, and printouts. She looked over the photos on my phone, her jaw tightening with every document. "This isn't incompetence," she said. "This is strategy, malicious strategy." "I know," she leaned back. "You have enough here to call for a formal hearing. If the board sees this, they won't just reprimand her. They'll replace her." My heart squeezed. "Rita, I don't want revenge. I just want my name back." Rita softened. "And that's exactly why you'll win. Because power-hungry people always underestimate women who aren't after power, just truth." We spent 3 hours organizing the evidence into a file that even the most biased board member couldn't ignore. When we were done, Rita placed her hand over mine. "Clara," she whispered, this isn't just about your job. This is about every older woman who's ever been pushed aside because someone younger believed they were done. The words hit something deep inside me, because she was right. This wasn't only my fight, it was theirs. For every woman who had been made invisible, silenced, replaced, or humiliated to make room for someone else's ambition. This was our comeback. When I finally drove home that night, I didn't feel small anymore. For the first time in months, maybe years, I felt powerful. Not loud power, not aggressive power. A quiet, steady, dignified power that grows in the hearts of women who have been underestimated for far too long. Tomorrow, I would walk into the library with a file that could shatter Ariana's perfect facade. Tomorrow, the game would change. Because tomorrow, they would finally realize I was nowhere near done. I arrived at the library the next morning, wearing a calm so sharp it felt almost metallic. The kind of calm a woman grows only after being pushed past humiliation and into clarity. Ariana was already perched at the circulation desk, surrounded by interns who laughed a little too loudly at everything she said. When she turned and saw me, her smile faltered only for a heartbeat before she lacquered it back on. "Morning, Clara," she chirped. "You look energetic today." "I am," I said softly. "We should meet later. There are a few files I'd like to clarify." Something in her expression twitched. "After lunch," she replied, throat tight. "Perfect." I went upstairs to the third-floor archive, her favorite place to bury me. But today, the room became my battleground. I locked the door, pulled out my notebook, and started combing through drawers she forgot still existed. Memos with altered dates, schedules that contradicted each other, evaluations filled with phrasing I would never write. A missing manuscript report conveniently filed the week she handled acquisitions alone. Every page I photographed was a thread she hadn't expected me to pull. Hours later, she appeared in the doorway, trying to look casual but gripping her iPad too tightly. "You've been busy," she said, voice strained. "Just organizing," I replied, smiling gently, too gently. Her eyes darted around the room. She sensed something, the way prey senses a shift in the wind. But Ariana had a fatal flaw. She underestimated quiet women. She mistook age for harmlessness. That night, Rita and I spread everything across her dining room table: sticky notes, printouts, timelines. She studied each document like a woman examining a cracked mirror. "Clara," she said finally, eyes burning. "This isn't about office politics. This is erasure. They wanted you to disappear on paper before they pushed you out in real life." I swallowed. "I just wanted to do my job. And now," Rita said, squeezing my hand, "you're doing something bigger. You're fighting for every woman who was ever told she was past her prime. You're reminding them that older women don't fade people, try to dim them." For the first time in months, I felt something rise in me. Not anger, not fear, but power. The quiet, unshakable kind. Tomorrow, the real fight would begin. I arrived at the board hearing expecting to walk in alone. For 32 years, I had worked quietly, faithfully, invisibly. I assumed my battle would be invisible too. But when I pushed open the double doors of the municipal hall, I froze. The hallway was full of women. Not a handful, not a small, supportive cluster. A crowd. Women of every age, but mostly women like me. Silver hair, soft shoulders, lines etched from decades of giving more than they received. Mrs. Greenberg was there, clutching the shawl Id knitted her during her husband's illness. Lydia, the young mother Id tutored for her GED, held her toddler on her hip, determined not to miss this. 2 retired teachers from the literacy program stood arm in arm. A grandmother from my grief group, a widow I had helped through paperwork. Even the bakery owner whose elderly mother came to my Tuesday reading circles. They looked at me the way people look at someone stepping into a storm for them. "For you," they said, one voice after another, "for everything you did for us, for everything you never asked credit for." Something inside me trembled, not from fear, but from recognition. Ariana had interns. I had women whose lives I had touched quietly, steadily, without fanfare. And there is nothing on earth stronger than older women who decide to stand behind someone. Inside the boardroom, Ariana sat rigidly, her expression carefully arranged. Too carefully. Fear seeped through the cracks like cold air. When it was my turn to present, I did not raise my voice. I did not perform. I simply opened the binder Rita and I had built and began. I walked them through every forged evaluation, every altered schedule, every missing signature. I pointed out the timelines that contradicted her claims. I explained how administrative reassignments mirrored a pattern of erasure. The room stayed silent enough to hear paper breathe. When I finished, Rita placed one last document on the table. A petition, 627 signatures gathered in less than 24 hours. The chairwoman adjusted her glasses. I've never seen community turnout like this. Ariana's face went pale, then red, then pale again. She tried to speak, but the chairwoman held up a hand. You will have your turn. She never got one. After a short recess, the board returned. Miss Hale, the chairwoman said, the board unanimously clears your record. All allegations are found to be fabricated. My chest loosened. Air returned to my lungs. And Miss Willoughby, she added, turning toward Ariana, you are suspended pending a full investigation. Ariana gasped, but I didn't look at her. I looked at the women standing behind me, my unexpected army, my quiet chorus, my proof that older women were never invisible. They were simply never asked to gather. Until today. For a week, I really slept. The kind of rest that only comes after carrying a burden for far too long. But something stirred in me. Rest wasn't enough. Vindication wasn't enough. I needed purpose again. A new one. One night, while folding laundry, I remembered a conversation I once overheard at the grocery store. Older women? A teenage cashier had said. They just fade into the background. Fade, disappear, become invisible. I stood there, holding a towel to my chest, and felt a spark, small but bright. Older women didn't fade. We were pushed, overlooked, dismissed. I wanted to build something that pulled them back into the light. So I created the idea, the Haven Circle. A community program not for books, not for crafts, not for mild afternoon chats, but for rebirth. A place where women 55 plus could share their stories, rebuild their confidence, learn technology, heal through community, build new missions in the second half of life, rediscover worth, connect with others who had been invisible too long. I started small, a flyer, on the community board at the market, then an email chain, then a Facebook post. Within a week, 47 women signed up. Within 2 weeks, 83. Some arrived with walkers, some with grief, some with quiet fury, some with the desire to start again, even if they didn't know how. At the first meeting, I stood before them, heart pounding. I didn't fight Ariana for my job, I said. I fought her because so many women my age are treated like empty chairs, present but unseen. We deserve more than that. So this space is for us. The room erupted in soft applause, some tears, some nods so deep they looked like prayers. We laughed together, cried together, learned together. The Haven Circle became not just a program, but a movement. Something meaningful, something healing, something long overdue. My daughter eventually heard about it. But by then, I was too busy changing lives to chase someone who hadn't chosen mine. One evening, after a Haven Circle workshop, I returned home to find someone sitting on my porch steps. Ariana, her mascara streaked, her perfect hair undone, her confidence gone like smoke. Clara, she whispered, I lost everything. I remained standing. You filed forged reports. You lied. You tried to destroy my career. I know, she cried. I was jealous. Everyone loved you. I wanted to be you. I felt a sharp ache in my chest. Not pity, not forgiveness, recognition. Women are often turned against each other before we even understand our own worth. Clara, what happens now? She whispered. I sat beside her. Not close, but not far either. Now you rebuild, I said. But you rebuild honestly, and it will be harder than you think. She nodded, crying. And me? She asked. What happens to you? I looked at the small community center across the street, where tonight's workshop had been so full we ran out of chairs. I said softly, am finally exactly where I'm meant to be. The Haven Circle grew faster than I imagined. Grants, volunteers, partnerships, workshops filled with laughter, tears, resilience. Women came in broken. They left standing taller. Some started businesses. Some reconnected with estranged children. Some learned technology for the first time. Some simply discovered they were worth more than silence. As for me, I rebuilt my life not with bitterness but with purpose. People in town stopped me to say, "Clara, you changed my mother's life. Clara, thank you for giving her hope again. Clara, she smiles now because of you." And every time, I felt something quiet and powerful bloom inside me. A second life, a life I chose, a life no one could take from me again. Before our first annual Haven gathering, I stood before the mirror, smoothed my blouse, and whispered, "They tried to put you away quietly, but you came back louder than they ever imagined." Then I walked outside into a sea of women waiting to rise with me. And for the first time in my entire life, I wasn't just a librarian. I wasn't just a mother. I wasn't just a woman trying to survive. I was a spark. And sparks start revolutions. Thanks for listening. Which part of the story touched you the deepest? Leave it in the comments and subscribe. We're listening. Your voice truly matters.